Well, thank you for being here. My name is Anna Oliveira. I'm a first year student at Breda University and I study leisure and events. And I would want to start this interview by asking you for your permission to record this interview and post it on YouTube.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, thank you. Well, could you maybe shortly introduce yourself, what you do, what your name is, where you work?
My name is Alvira. I work at Organize. I organize events there. It's located here in Rotterdam, so close by. And yeah.
Well, thank you. And could you maybe tell me what Organize is and how it works?
Organize is an employment agency. They employ people to work, mostly students, and then students work at events we organize for big companies, so big events, but also small things like standing in the street with a stand and giving people explanations about the company. Even go to schools and give explanations about certain companies. So yeah, mostly everything.
Oh, all right, thank you. And why did you choose Organized?
I chose Organized because well, they're invested in everything. Everything is important they do. They give a lot of information about certain companies. They also did a job for RET, which includes giving directions to people. It's a small company. They exist now for almost 2 years, and it really feels like you're part of the company there. It's not like a big company where you're just a number. It's really a small company and everyone knows each other, and yeah, I think that's really important.
Oh yeah, it is. I agree with you on that. And you say it's a small company, so what is small for you guys? Is it like 100? Is it more? Is it less?
Well, at this moment it's less because of Corona. We had to let some people go.
Yeah.
Before that, it would have been approximately 100 without like the employees who organize the events or the planning. So approximately 100 would be the employees they have, so
Okay.
students and everything.
Okay, so it's quite small actually. All right, and well, most importantly, do you enjoy working at Organized?
Yes, I do. Everyone is really friendly, really professional. They all have the same values, so everything, same things are important to everyone, and yeah, it's been really fun.
Okay, that's good. That's very good. And you say that you organize events. Are there any different departments within the organization?
Yes, there is well, the department for organizing events. There's the department that looks over the employees, the planning for both the employees and the events. There are also some interns who work there who also work on like small projects, and well, the supervisors who look over everything, finance parts. So yeah, a lot of different departments.
All right. And why did you end up choosing the department that you're in?
Well, I did a study beforehand, and the organizing part of the events was really attractive. I like the planning aspect, the creative aspect, the coming together and thinking of new ideas and everything, improving even some events or anything.
All right. And you said study. What study was that exactly?
I did leisure and event management for 4 years.
Oh, nice. Okay, so that's basically the same thing I'm studying. Cool. And would you say you were able to apply the theory that you've learned in your study in the work field that you're in right now?
Yeah, not all of it, but the basic planning stuff. So like before you start on the project and before you think of events, you start with brainstorming and mind mapping and everything, and then afterwards you plan out, you do the action plans, the project plans, designing for a product sometimes, the follow-up, so giving out surveys and seeing what needs to be improved and everything. So like the basic planning things.
All right. And well, I imagine that the study is somewhat similar to mine. It's at least what I'm doing right now. Is there any example of a theory that you could give me that that you use still to this day?
Well, yeah, you know, the basic things, and then after we work on a project, we have to make a document for the client to show, okay, what we have before they actually approve it and we actually work it out. So there we use some models we also used in school to explain why we made certain choices. So yeah, it would be in the making the documents for the client that we use most of the theory.
Okay. And could you have done what you're doing right now without studying previously to that?
Well, it depends. I don't think I would have been working at Organize because they only exist for now 2 years. So that would mean that I would have started working at a company about 5-6 years ago. It depends on if the company would accept me without any experience. So yeah, it is possible if you have the right connections, if you have the right motivation, everything. It would be possible to do it without the study, but you would have been unprepared without the study. But it would have been possible.
Okay, and you say, well, you would have a lack of experience. In the point of view where you are now, so working at the company, what kind of experience do you think a future leisure professional would need? So what experience would you need to start working?
Well, it depends in which company and which sector or job you want to apply for, because if it's like applying for Organize, for instance, as just an employee, you can start working there as just working at the events and then build your way up. So you can do that even without experience if you have just the right motivations.
What would be working methods that you use to guarantee success in an event that you would organize right now?
Well, it has to be feasible. That's the most important aspect, that when you come up with a project, with an event or anything, that everything is possible. When you work on a project in school, you know that when you eventually give it to the client, you're not sure if they're actually going to use it, so it doesn't have to be completely feasible because it's their choice if they actually are going to use it. If we come up with a project, we actually have to make sure that they will say yes, because that's the whole point of us coming with the project, that it will actually happen in the next coming weeks or months or anything. So the feasibility is the most important aspect, I would think. Finance feasibility, organizational feasibility, anything. Okay,
and what was your motivation to come into this industry in the first place?
Well, I still am an outgoing person. I go to events and anything leisure related, and I would always see certain things. I would say, okay, I could improve that, or I would have done that differently. And when I came across the study, I actually saw an opportunity to actually work on that. As I also like planning things, so that is also a motivation to go to the study. And the study I did was actually very broad, so it prepared you for anything in the future you want to do. So yeah, that would be motivation for me going in the sector.
Yeah, okay. And you mentioned that you would go to an event and see points of improvement. Could you give me an example of something that you previously thought, oh, I could improve this, and then later on maybe change that, or?
Well, it would be the part where most events have a struggle is with the process. So standing in line, the ticket check. For most events, it was just a boring first time you go to the event. You'll just check your ticket, stand in line, and wait to get in. So I would improve that, because the first thing you see when you go to the event would be that, and if that is a negative experience, then it's a big chance that the rest of the event will also feel not sufficient enough or not good enough. So that would be something. And when you have big events, they mostly always employ volunteers. And volunteers who work at an event mostly always have small jobs and not a lot of motivation. So when you go up to them, ask them for a question, they most of the time wouldn't know the answer and had to direct you to the supervisor. They wouldn't look really professional. they just lack the motivation. So when you come across a volunteer and you have a negative experience, the whole big experience of the event will just like direct on that negative experience. So I would improve that.
Okay, and you mentioned volunteers. Does Organized work with any volunteers?
No, all the employees Organized work with just have a normal salary. No, they don't work with volunteers.
They don't work with volunteers, okay. And so what is your experience so far looking in what you've done in the leisure industry?
Well, working in Organized has been fun. It also shows like all the important aspects a lot of company have to deal with. We really find it important that our quality is good. Like we don't get in contact with a lot of the visitors. So the people we employ, they get in contact with the visitors. So we have to make sure that the contact they have is professional, it's friendly, they know what they're talking about, and just make sure that it's the best experience, because when you have a bad experience with an employee, it will have an effect on like the whole experience of the event.
Yeah, of course. All right, and what are something that you've learned throughout the years of being a leisure professional in this case?
It would be that your study does prepare you for like mostly everything, but when you start working in a company, it's different than studying. You have a lot more supervision. The projects you do are really directed to the client, what they want, and it's less creative than in your study. So your study prepares you for all the basic things, but when you actually start working in a company, it becomes more specific, more limited in some way, less creative, but more focused on like the essential stuff. So the finance stuff, the feasibility stuff, making sure that all the aspects of what the client wants are in there. So it becomes really limited to the client's point of view or our Organized point of view, and in some ways it helps a lot, because it helps give you a mindset of how you need to think when you work on a project. But it does, I think, lack a little creativity, which is disappointing, but I do like it a lot.
Okay, so just to recap, what you're saying is that working in the leisure industry means that you get to use your creative mind less, because you have to be more focused on whether it's feasible and the financials.
Well, yeah, you can still use a little creativity, but it's less important.
Okay, all right. And you just mentioned clients. What kind of clients would Organized work for?
Well, it's all different kind of clients. You have there are actually a lot of clients who aren't event centered. So you have the client here in the Netherlands called Unilever. You have banks like ING, ABN. You have electricity companies like KPN. Also schools where they sometimes go and help out. So yeah, it's actually, most clients aren't really leisure related. They just want events that make people more aware of the company, of our struggles, or anything going around. So it's different than in school. In school, most things projects you work on are also from the start leisure related, and now you have to think of events for a company who isn't leisure related in any way.
Yeah. Okay. And what would be achievements that you've had until this point that you say, oh, I'm proud of this, or perhaps if I have to do it again, I would change this?
Well, I'm proud of most sustainability projects we've had. I think those have really great impact. Some EDT projects we have, like with the public transport, you really still see people in Rotterdam who are confused about directions, and it really helps explain to them, like see people who work for a company and actually see that company being interested in helping out people get to where they want to go. What I would change, okay, I don't think there's a lot to change. I think there's still a lot of improvements we need to do, but there weren't like big disastrous problems we've had.
Okay, all right. And do you maybe have any future goals or maybe even ongoing projects that you would share?
Well, for ongoing projects, I can't say anything.
Oh, that's sad.
But for future goals, it would be the changes we have made are quite small. They're mostly towards certain individuals. I would like in the future to maybe organize events that would change a company's aspect or anything. Like, for instance, have a sustainability event at a company and see in a couple of years that they actually did work on the sustainability the way they said in their events.
Okay, so the way I get it is that sustainability actually is quite a big part of your organization then. Okay. And is that also like, would that be a key value of the clients you would work with right now?
Not per se. Sustainability it's important for us, but it really depends on what the client wants to show to the customers, what they want their customers to be aware of, and it's mostly about their products and what they have, what they offer. The sustainability aspect would be important to companies who are really invested in sustainability.
Okay. And well, I've got another question because I forgot to ask you that. In regard to studying, would you recommend studying beforehand, before getting into the leisure industry?
Well, if you don't have any experience at all, nothing to leisure related, then I would suggest doing a study. Also, if you didn't have any study beforehand, then I also suggest doing a study. If you're already really invested in the leisure sector, in the industry, if you already know where you want to work in, and you already know a lot about it, then I would suggest, and you already have like study experience, then I would say just go to a company and try applying, really tell them why you want to work them, really show your motivation, and maybe you can get a job there, and that would still be really valuable because you would learn a lot in that company. If you're not really sure what you want to do in the future, like I was, then I would suggest doing the study, because then it prepares you for like anything, and then during the study, because you work on projects for all kind of different clients, you really get to know like, okay, what am I actually interested in, and then you have, if you're done with the study, you have a lot of experience in all kinds of different sectors.
Yeah.
So it's you have a lot more opportunity to apply for a lot of different sectors.
All right. So just to summarize and see if I understand what you're saying, is that if you know exactly what you want to do, you would say basically just go to the company and tell them that this is what you want and why you want it. And if you're not sure what you want, and maybe you're doubting which direction within the leisure field you want to go, you're saying go study and see how that goes first.
No, yeah. If you do have like a study, you did a study beforehand, then go to the company and try. If you don't have any study experience, then maybe it's smarter to first do a study. But that really depends on how it works out. You can also just go to a company and see how it works. Maybe they accept you, and then you'll see how it goes. If not, then you can go to study afterwards.
Okay, well, thank you. I have one last question for you, and that is if there are any tips that you could give me as a future leisure professional.
Well, I suggest that you already start looking at sectors you're interested in, and there are going to be some opportunities you get to choose for which company you want to work for. For example, during your internship, you can already choose a company you're really interested in, and if you already have experience for the company or doing a project for the company, you have a bigger chance of actually working there after your study. So I will look into that now, and maybe it would help you in the future.
All right. Well, thank you. I also want to thank you for your time. And just to double check, you're still okay with this being published on YouTube?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you.